I'll tell you what, I don't care if it's the flux capacitor in this thing. I'm going to try to figure out how to fix that. I'll go and watch Back to the Future 4 or 5 times.
Along these roads we roam, we find adventure through traveling, camping, boondocking, and exploring.
Hello everybody and welcome to Vlogcast episode number 79. My name is Russ.
I'm Kerry.
And we are the Roads We Roam. We're a couple living full-time in our little guy Max.
Today is Tuesday, February 26th, and we are in Elephant Butte, New Mexico, but we are pulling out here in just a short few minutes.
Yeah. Yep, on our way to El Paso.
Again.
I know. Well, we got to take care of some business. So
Russ needs glasses.
I know, so I could see.
Yes, and it was just the easiest place we
That's
could go
where
back.
our optometrist is. We can get in quick and get out quick.
Yeah, and you'll be able to see.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, well, Tuesday is usually a question and answer Tuesday, Q&A Tuesday, and today is no exception.
That's right. We have a lot of great questions and comments, and I'm just going to start off that we do this every Tuesday. So if there's anything that you have on your mind, anything you want to know about RVing, about us, about our travels, anything in general, send it to us and we could feature it on our next week's edition.
Yeah, so real quick, let me just get into how you can send it to us. You can either contact us via email, russandkerry@theroadsweroam.com. You can go to our website, theroadsweroam.com, and there you can get us through our contact page as well as leaving a message on our voicemail. If you look to the right on any page, there will be a little orange tab there that says leave voicemail. We love getting those because we will use those live on these shows. If for some reason you don't want it played, just tell us and we won't. But we still like hearing your voice. And then, of course, you can always leave a message down below any of these videos.
Exactly.
All right, so let's get on to it.
So up first is Vernon Hurd, and he said, may I ask you a favor? Please start each blog with today's date is. Why do you ask? If you are telling me how wonderful something is, it's helpful to know if it's a winter activity or only good to do in the summer. If you are telling me how beautiful something is, I like to know what time of year to visit there. Lots more reasons too, but just a thought. You know, we love your feedback.
Yeah, everybody's feedback. You know, we listen.
So if you noticed, yesterday and today, I started with the date. If you go back to some of our older episodes, while we didn't say the date, if you scroll down to the description section right below our Roads We Roam icon, it has the date. And since we film these every day, the date that it shows filmed is the date that we actually filmed it. So you can kind of correlate some of those there. But from going on from here, we will put the date out. Thank you so much, Vernon. We love your input.
Definitely.
Next one, you want to read this one?
No, go ahead. I can't read. I don't have glasses.
That's right. Okay. Carpe Diem RV Style says, what kind of wine do you guys drink?
And I think they're asking this because we have our Friday night wine.
Yes, every Friday night we do a live stream, and that is at 8 p.m. Eastern, right?
Yep.
I have to... When we switch these time zones, I have to make sure I refer to it all at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So that's an interesting question. We drink all kinds of wines. Kerry is more of the wine drinker. I do drink it on occasion. I know you like the sweeter reds more.
I like the sweeter reds, and since our travels in Florida, I have fallen in love with blueberry wines.
Yeah, especially the one, what was the name of that place?
Oh, Island Grove Winery.
Yeah. They have a blueberry sangria. That is really good. Okay, so what's next here?
Sherry Standifer. Now, this is a recommendation. And we announced during our Friday night wine session that we finally honed in on our travel plans to Alaska. We've been putting out there that we have a goal to be in Alaska by July. It's just been a long-term goal for us to get there. People would say, well, what are you doing in Alaska, or where are you going?
Yeah, we had no idea.
Had that deer in the headlight look.
Yeah.
So we got some input from some other viewers. Thank you so much.
Yep.
And we have decided we are going to Homer Spit. That's like our target. And we're going to stop at a lot of places along the way, but that's like our destination before we turn around.
Yeah, well, now that we have a destination, we can fill in the rest.
Exactly.
You know, but you got to know where you're going before you can fill in the rest. So we have a destination. We have a lot of good information on what to do when we get up there. You know, I'm interested in going fishing. And what is that one bar or that one place everybody tells us we have to go to with the dollar bills on the wall and stuff?
You would ask me that, and now I'm just totally blanking.
Yeah, that's how it happens. But we're going there. I'm sure one of the viewers knows what it is.
Well, Sherry Standifer, she recommended a place for us to stay along the way.
Fantastic.
And her recommendation is Baycrest RV Park in Homer. It's quieter than the campgrounds down on the Spit, and it has a beautiful view up on the hill. So we are definitely checking it out.
Yeah, thank you so much for the recommendation.
And we'd like any more along the way. Probably by Friday this week, I have plans to put on our website our route, our map that we plan on going.
And you got to bear in mind that this is just a very loose map. You know, we're a loose route, because part of what we do is really not having everything planned to the day or to the mile. We do veer from it. We
had a very observant watcher out there who sent in this next question. Mark D says, noticed Russ wearing the Wisconsin Badger sweatpants. Are you from Wisconsin?
So yeah, my mother's family is from Wisconsin. My father's family is from Hawaii. I grew up, spent a lot of time in Wisconsin, and I am a fan of all the Wisconsin teams. Go Badgers, go Brewers, go Bucks, and you know, go Packers especially. Wow, I can't believe I almost missed that.
Our son's name is Brett, for crying out
loud.
loud.
Yeah. So definitely, I'm from Wisconsin, and I am a big fan of the Wisconsin teams.
All right, now you have to get your thinking cap on.
Okay.
All right, these are some technical questions from Daryl Dover.
All right.
What is the routine / preventative maintenance that you do for your LGM?
Well, you know, right off the bat comes the batteries. You know, we check the water levels inside the batteries. You know, and then we also make sure that the caulking is still good, especially out here in the dry, sunny areas out west. Yeah, it cracks. So we go through and make sure that that is good. You know, you have to get up on top of the roof there. And then we have, you know, our tires. This is something that we've really preached a lot of. And this we do every time this trailer moves. We go out and we check the tire torque, which should be at 100 foot-pounds. And we use a torque wrench to do that. And we also check the pressure to make sure that the pressure is right. I like to keep ours at about 45 to 47 PSI. But then we also, you know, you got to, just like any other vehicle, you got to clean the vents and the filters and that sort of thing.
And then don't forget to test your fire alarms and your CO2 alarms.
Yeah.
So those are really important. That was something, as a new RVer, I was terrified that if I had all the vents closed and the windows closed, that we were just going to die.
Well, yeah, and especially with propane, do I have to vent when I have propane on? You know, there's all kinds of things to think about.
So then, what unexpected issues have we had?
So the first thing that comes to my mind is right in the beginning, we had a lot of heating issues.
Yeah, we did.
And we couldn't figure it out. You know, we'd go ahead and reset. You can go inside the furnace and hit this reset button. And that worked for a while, and then even that stopped. And lo and behold, it all came from because we had a bad board on our furnace. And what that board does is that board talks to the thermostat. So the thermostat says, oh, it's cold in here. Sends a message to the board. The board starts the furnace. I'm sorry, starts the blower. And then once the sail switch kicks on, then the propane ignites. So it was never getting that message that the ignition should start. But we had to call a repairman to come out and take care of that. And thankfully, Liberty Outdoors covered that for us. But that was one of the issues.
Within 15 minutes, which I was grateful for. I was terrified that we'd have to bring it into a shop and wait 3-4 weeks to get it back. But this was as simple. They just swapped out the board, and it was good to go, and we haven't had an issue with it.
No, there hasn't been a heating issue. Well, there's been a heating issue. We'll get to that because that's a little bit later on. But it wasn't because of that board.
Right.
You know, and then we've had issues with the molding. There's molding right over here. You guys are sitting in the far side of the dinette, and where we are sitting is in the dinette by the door. But in order to get into that area, this table here, we have to slide it back and forth. And even if it slid all the way towards us, you still got to squeeze in over by the wall. So whoever sat there was always rubbing up against the molding, and that got knocked out.
Right. But a little bit of glue, and it's good to go.
Yeah, we used Gorilla Glue, and I don't think that thing's ever going to come off again. Mm-hmm. We had a propane leak with our hose. That was easily fixed by going to, what was that place that we went to?
Camping World.
Camping World, that's right.
3 times.
Yeah, well, that was just because of me. I wasn't looking at numbers and that sort of thing. And then we've had an occasional problem with our Smart Jack. Basically, what happened is we never bought a cover for it. And that Smart Jack membrane switch on top where you push the up and down started to crack, and water would get in there. Now, it doesn't get into the mechanicals. What it does is gets into that membrane switch, and it temporarily acts all wonky. So we have to keep that dry. And a lot of people are saying, hey, put a plastic bag over it, mm-hmm. which will work. But here's the problem. You put a plastic bag over the top of it, and if you're in a humid area and it gets warm, condensation builds up overnight, and water gets in there anyways. Yeah, that happened in Florida. But a really neat trick that I've been seeing these guys do around the campgrounds is they'll just take a 5-gallon bucket and put that over the top of the jack, and it still allows enough air in and out where you don't build up that condensation.
But it doesn't blow off.
You don't have to worry about it blowing off. So that's a fantastic thing. But really, if you want to save yourself a whole bunch of time and effort, just get yourself a nice cover for it. So the other one that I can think of right off the bat is something that you had an issue with.
So we had an issue with a minor flood in the kitchen one time, and thankfully it was a very quick, easy fix. So you have the PVC piping that goes under the sink, and there's a little screw?
Coupler,
that's what it is. And just over time, jostling as the trailers do, it had loosened a bit. So when I drained the sink after washing dishes, though, the water just came flooding all out. It was just to tighten it, and it was fixed.
Yeah, so I think that's one thing you add to our preventative maintenance is make sure.
It all the time.
Yeah, one issue with that, and you'll take care of it forever. So I think the very last one, unless I'm missing something, the very last one we had was, again, a heating issue. Mm-hmm. We had heat coming out of our vent in the back by the bed, but this vent up here by the dinette, nothing. You could just feel a little bit of air movement through there. So we thought, wow, either it's clogged or the tubing fell off. And that's what it was. The tubing had came off, so we went in there, hooked that back up, and we had heat coming out of both vents again.
Yeah, I felt so proud of us. Yeah, that is one of the things. We talked about this on one of our live streams in our Sticks and Bricks life. If something was wrong, we didn't even try to really investigate it. We would just call a professional. Yeah,
well, we were so busy. Mm-hmm. You and I both had full-time corporate jobs, and it was just very difficult to spend a lot of time. So it was easier just to call somebody and come fix it for us.
And get it fixed.
And here you can't. We're out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, the RV industry has done a really good job of scaring the bejesus out of people, knowing that if you have to bring it in for maintenance, it's going to be there a long time.
I'll tell you what, I don't care if it's the flux capacitor in this thing. I'm going to try to figure out how to fix that. I'll go and watch Back to the Future 4 or 5 times to figure out how to work on a flux capacitor, because if you take your rig into a repair shop right now, chances are you're not going to get it for 6 weeks.
Which is one of the reasons why I'm glad we decided on a travel trailer.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to worry about the big engine or motor or things like that going wrong with it. So, I mean, I know there's pros and cons both ways, but just for us right now, this is working like a dream.
Yep.
Last question from Daryl.
Okay.
Does your LGM have a back water flush?
A black water flush? No, it doesn't. But they do have devices that you can take and hook a hose up to and stick that down in your toilet, because the toilet goes right down into the black tank. You can turn that water on and it'll spray and flush out that. We haven't had an issue, and we fully use that toilet.
What's your secret trick, though, too, with the ice?
I don't know if it's a secret trick, but it's a trick that blew my mind when I first heard about it. What we'll do is we'll dump the tanks before we leave a campground, and then we'll stop at a gas station and we'll buy a 5 or 7 pound bag of ice, and we'll dump as much of that ice down the toilet as we can. And what happens is the road movement, as you're driving our 3 or 4 hours to our next camp, that ice is just tumbling and moving around like a rock tumbler, you know, and it's polishing the edge of the tanks and stuff. And then what happens, though, is it slowly starts to melt. It turns into water, but there's still some solids moving around, and that tends to scrub off the issues that you're having. Usually the issue is from toilet paper.
Yeah.
You know, so that ice knocks it off. And then simply when you pull in, if you have a full hookup with sewer, you just dump your black tank and then close it off. Or if you don't have full hookups, but there is a dump site, like here, we don't have full hookups, but there is a dump site before you come in. Before I'd come to the campground or the campsite, I would pull in, dump my black tank, and then we're good to go.
You mentioned something about how the toilet paper sticks on the inside. It's one thing that I had read a lot about before we started, where people would complain that their black water tank sensor says that it's full and they know they just dumped, and why is it? And it could be because a small piece of wet toilet paper
or dried toilet paper
got stuck to the sensor. So the sensor is sensing that it's full enough to be touching that.
Yeah.
So if you know it's empty, but that's one way that you can do it if you don't have a black water flush. Okay, RHS Tools, our star from last week with all his questions. He has one more for us. Do you have difficulty accessing stuff in your storage pass-through?
No, I mean, it's pretty simple. You came up with a great idea for that tote under there.
Oh, it's those under the bed, long kind of see-through bins that have the little wheels on them. We just don't use the cover because you can't lift it in the space that we have. But they're really long, and so Russ can just pull it out so he can grab the things that are further back, and you just have them on either side. That way you can get everything, and it keeps things from all messing around.
So usually we just put the smaller things in there. Water filters, water pressure, our cable hookup if we're going to hook up into cable, you know, our hoses and stuff like that. So yeah,
all those things that would slide all over the place. So that's how we do that one. And then Miss Tamara Everett from the Dallas area, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So she's referring to our video, not our Saturday video this week, but the one the week before with our Day in the Life.
Day in the Life, yeah.
She asked, "You didn't watch the Waltons? Lord, it was on forever."
Right? I thought the same thing.
I feel like I had a deprived childhood. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it.
My goodness, did you watch the Disney show every Saturday night?
Yeah, and then every Sunday night they would have the special movies.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Okay, so yeah, you watched that. The Brady Bunch?
Yeah.
Gilligan's Island?
Of course.
Okay, well, I guess you were just missing the Waltons. I don't know, maybe you guys had a family thing that you did at night, every night at that time.
I was probably washing dishes.
Good night, John Boy.
Totally missed it. No, I think more important, it was probably my dad's shows came on during that time.
Yeah.
So we were booted off the channel that could only get like 4 channels back then. That was back
Remember
when
some of those numbers weren't even numbers. They were like channel UH.
Yeah, I remember the little box on top of our TV with that big round dial.
Yeah.
And you dialed it and you had the big antenna.
You remember having to get aluminum foil and try to make extenders, or having to stand there and hold it, you know, and watch
I had
a
braces,
show?
and my dad thought I was extra antenna coverage. Go stand over there.
Oh boy, those were the days. Well, guys, that's all we have now. Thank you so much for your tips, your comments, your questions. Keep them coming. There's multiple ways to get a hold of us.
Reach out to us at theroadsweroam.com. You can click our contact page, and you can also click that little orange tab that Russ described earlier and send us a voicemail. You can also leave a message on Facebook. We're also on Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, and all of our vlogs are on iTunes and Spreaker.
Yeah, in the form of podcasts. So if you're traveling and you can't watch video, you can just download those podcasts.
All right, that's all for today. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.